I had a vision, yeah, that the stage is big, but they don't need everybody at one time. That's correct. It's like lottery. The stage is like who can convince the world of a certain situation. Who could be puppeted for a certain situation. You could just walk around every day and be of influence, be aspiration, be inspiration. Or you could be a part of some type of agenda. You know, they don't like you to say the global word. You know what I mean? They don't feel like a domestic person has the right to say the big G word. But I'm saying it. I had this vision while I was dreaming, and it was talking about street theater. You know, you got many levels. You got street theater in your hood, your community. You got street theater at the mall, at the school. There's different levels to it. You know, that put a battery in your back situation. But there are some times where your free will is taken and you're for hire. Say it again. Sometimes there's times where your free will is taken or manipulated and you're for hire. And it's like a falling domino effect where they create a problem and solution. Whether they need you on the big screen or whether they need you on the little screen. You know, one day you're a loving family member, a loving father, a loving mother, a loving child of God. The next day you a criminal or a savior. You know, whatever they need to push on this big stage. And a lot of people, there's a lot of beings walking around here that don't have structured families. They don't have structured families at all. So yeah, you have to look at the bigger picture and say, what part of this stage am I on? Because they got something for everybody. They do a lot of flip-flopping too. Flip-flopping is when they notate specific people's specific ways. Or they document specific people's specific ways. And then they document other people other ways. But sometimes it could be reversed. It could be a lie. Yeah. Sometimes the liar get to roam free and the truth be trapped in their head. Like some type of limiting belief or some type of science project. You get what I'm saying? It ain't no different than them doing the placebo effect. Certain people get to roam free on purpose. And certain people, they psychologically shut down, they trap them. We live in a wicked reversal world. A real wicked reversal world. Self-isolation is real too. Like if they feel that you feel love, protection, they'll manipulate it. If they feel like you could generate healing powers from association, they'll manipulate it. They'll isolate you. They'll make everybody that come around you seem phony, fake, can't be trusted. Imagine that. You have this like community spirit. No different than me. My name is Aishika, which is a sheik, a shaman, a community healer. Okay? But by you radiating with like minds, they'll try to take it from you. They'll send everything your way but the right thing. And then that energy about you, that community spirit about you, where you thrive from mingling, existing as a unit. They try to manipulate it or take it away from you and isolate you. And then when they try to isolate you, they're going to attempt to. And 60% of the time they're successful. Programming, technology, all of that. They run them scripts. They run the technology. Remember, they're there to manipulate, control, and break your free will. Sometimes people could live their whole life on this planet and just be a space filler. I'm not talking about an NPC. I'm talking about a true divine soul. And their number never got called for some special event. There was never a highlight. There was never a subject. Or there was never a subject that was acknowledged for full protocol. This vision is not for the weak. This vision is for people that understand and understand how this stage works. And that part about breeding you, like they'll breed you. They'll breed your kind for certain agendas. You know, that's that select versus elect. I said I was going to sleep 2 more hours, but something about that vision had to get out there. That's why I say I like being raised in a military town. But the only thing about a military town I didn't understand the level of experiments they was doing on people. I didn't understand drugs, you know. You just get this picture that they paint. I didn't understand disease either. Like they'll have like, I'll give you an example. When I was a little girl, still a virgin, you know, your mom didn't have to go with you to the doctor for your checkup. Well, not me. I was grown, but I was still a virgin at that time. You would go in the doctor office, and these would be like little houses, but they were real doctor offices. That's all I knew. I had an actual family doctor. I didn't go to like those clinics or those clinics that was hooked to the welfare office or something. No. We had family doctors. And he had all of these, he, what's that stuff that they said was in them trailers that was no good? Formaldehyde. He had all these formaldehyde vials. Look like vials you pee in for a pee test or something. And it had these growths in them with a bunch of hair on them. And so my mom was like, going up there and get to your appointment. All I had to do was walk across the street. She was like, going up there, get to your appointment, and I'll meet you up there. And I'm sitting in the damn office, and my mom come in. He did my exam or whatever. He asked me, was I sexually active and stuff. And I was like, no. You know what I mean? I wasn't studying that shit, you know. Even though I was curious why they still didn't look. They just trusted your voice. You know what I mean? But my mom sat down with him and was like, did you remove all those warts off of different people? He was like, yeah. He was like, one man had 3 vials. I mean, this was some big shit. Big shit. Remember, I'm in a military town. I'm a baby. I don't understand how this works. I don't understand that this, you know, the CDC is in Atlanta. I don't understand the bigger schemes of things. That's why I'm saying, what level of the stage do you play on? So, I would see these vials. Every 6 months, I would go get my physical. So one day my mama said, that man must have did it with the lights off. That's why I tell people, make sure you do it with the lights on in broad daylight. And there's so many stories how, like, so many people talk about HPV, this, that, and other. And we got to see this home doctor that removed that shit off of people. Like big colony of warts and stuff, right? Like, this shit was so visible that it was a girl that went to school with me. It was on her cheek. It was a lady I knew that kept saying she had a bump on her booty that she couldn't pop. It wouldn't pop. Then so finally she dug it off and she put it in a bag and said she was taking it to the doctor to ask her what it was. And she was sexually active with a man, and it's just so confusing how rapid that shit was. It was 2 or 3 women who said, and they talk about it, it's openly talked about, that they couldn't even give natural birth to their children until the doctor removed all the warts from in their uterus, in their vagina, and on the outside. You're not listening, okay? I've seen the most. And I'm like, what part of the stage do people actually play? You know what I mean? Like, what's actually in a world with sex, drugs, and late nights? What's really in a world like that, right? Ain't much out there. Ain't much out there. I've seen it all. I've seen it all. Like, you think you're doing things, you minding your own business, and you don't understand that everything is being weaponized. Your freedom is a weapon. That man being homeless, psychologically reminding you to keep that battery in your back and keep working and paying them bills is a weapon. Say it again, revereskye. That homeless man on the street is a weapon to psychologically remind you to keep working your 9 to 5. Don't never end up like him. Don't never give up. I just, growing up, I've seen so much. I've seen so much. And you get confused after a while. It wasn't to the internet until you realize, damn, everything you hear about the streets is probably a pushed weapon. Everything you experience in the streets is probably a pushed agenda or weapon. I ain't telling you no lie. I mean, everything we do, from breathing, from living, from being out on the weekend, from consuming products, whether that be visually, through the TV screen, the cell phone, the music, or just simply being, breathing. It's all an experiment. No different than they spraying that aerosol across the sky. We're being bombarded so many ways. That's why when I go to Atlanta, I go in Atlanta, I get out of Atlanta. You don't see me taking 7 days to be up there. It's something about that place. That was the last place I wanted to go to. Spirit said something about them farming. They farming. I ain't telling you no lie. Like, they farming humans. And then they got all that underground infrastructure up there too. You can't underestimate it. And then I started seeing some. Don't get me wrong, I love cocaine. But as young, I started to realize, damn, why the police squad growing so big? Man, we had, in the town I lived in, one day they hit a lick so fucking beautiful. Them motherfuckers had like 1,000 new vehicles for all the different districts and jurisdictions. New profile shit, new luxury shit. It had got to the point they started having the fastest cars on the road. Like, you know how you got the cowboy on the horse and he'll throw the fucking rope and snatch something in? Well, that's how I felt when the motherfuckers going down the highway. Like, they was ready. And sometimes like family members and shit or random people like say, yeah, look at this big bust that happened in town yesterday or something. And I kept saying, that they probably got a fall guy, but that's the only way they could put the money and drugs in their system. So I started realizing that they do the bust so that they can legally document it in their system. They don't destroy this stuff, okay? Eventually, it either get auctioned off to another city or they put it back on the street. But they have to get that. They have to get that financial documentation. And I started realizing that, and I started saying, I know I'm a consumer, and it's not wise to do your own supply. So you gonna be a jack of all trades. But I started realizing, nah, something about this ain't right. I done read too many news articles where they just mysteriously say, this person had 5 houses, this person had 6 houses. We cracked down. Nah, motherfucker, you put that shit in your system. And once I started seeing it, I slowly started winging myself off of being in the mix of having fun like that. Had to. Because you could see the game too clearly. It's a stage, man. Why did I just sound like Dick Gregory? Once you see how they manipulate this game, this cat and mouse game, once you see, like I say, your number could be pulled any day for whatever lottery they playing. And I be seeing it too. I try not to see it. I try to stay busy. One day you're a saint, the next day they got you plastered across every screen in the fucking world to push their agenda. I can't unsee it. And don't let your family be marked. This is another thing I've noticed. Like, you got these families that could not dodge fate, could not dodge being unalived. They have a way of bringing in a new generation, a new genre. Like, when I used to go to the strip club, none of the people I knew at school was going. They couldn't go. For some reason, I was privileged enough to go. When I got old enough to show my ID and all this, when I got old enough to show my ID, all the people that went to school with me, see, I had my ABC license. So you didn't have to be 21 to serve alcohol. You just got to be smart. You know what I mean? You got your ABC license. You know, if you somewhere, you there to do business regardless. A lot of young people didn't know that. So you don't have to be 21 to serve alcohol. in certain states. Okay. So what was I saying? So when I grew up, I didn't need to go to the strip club no more. I done did that. Deja vu, been there, done that. I was on other missions. I was doing other things. You know what I mean? I was to the point where if I need to show up to a establishment like that, I was on my P's and Q's. I didn't need to be trained. I wasn't wet behind the ears. And something, Spirit just said martyr too, but I'm not worried about being a fucking martyr. You know what I mean? Don't even cast that spell, but they've been saying that shit for about, since 2017, since I've been in Florida. But hear me out. So, this is how they bring in a new generation to get rid of certain ages. So, everybody I went to school with, shooting, thugging, I didn't understand that the music was transforming their minds, right? I didn't understand that certain agendas was being pushed. Certain people was on the internet, but not everybody. Cell phones just made it worse. A motherfucker wanted to be famous. Clout chasing ass niggas. But I strategically started to see that they send in a new breed of niggas to infiltrate the laid back ones. So you could probably have street niggas that were doing their thing, but they weren't dangerous. I mean, I sat up here and watched them get all of them off the block. Not by police. I mean, literally like some form of assassination. Like you will see on Facebook, rest in peace so-and-so. Rest in peace so-and-so. Like they was moving in a new breed of nigga. Or like people from other cities would say, this place jumping. So what they do is they bring in people from other cities to watch how the money work. Don't get me wrong. This is political too. You'll see like a chain of command at a precinct or at a district. And I would say 3 to 6 years, 3 to 9 years, they'll plaster somebody in that district all over as they was this person, they was doing all this. They had a higher chain of command. You see what I'm saying? Like they let them push and distribute so much, and then they throw them under the bus. And when you start to see it, you don't talk about it. Look how many years I've waited to talk about it. So they bring these minions in. I'm gonna tell you the worst thing that I seen happen with an energy shift. When they disperse the spirits and the entities and the minions from New Orleans. Man, let me tell you something. Nobody, low haircuts was in style. But when they sent, Spirit said something about localized. When they localized the people of Louisiana in our city, we had a death rate higher than Atlanta. Like they didn't even come to town to mingle with the women or nothing. It was like they came to town to assassinate as many people. And how they figured out who to pick off, they ask around like, where can I get this? Where can I get this? Where can I get this? You thinking that your neighborhood people beefing with you. Oh no. They done sent in a whole busload of motherfuckers to scope shit out for about a year and start taking over your city. On purpose. Then you start noticing that the spirit, the water spirit, get into your tribal people. You know, we all a tribe. Daddies, mamas, they all got different names, but they were born there, their parents were born there. That's a tribe. And then when you research, I kept asking people, why is it named Columbus, but we do not take off for Columbus Day? Other cities in the world was taking off for Columbus Day. Then when I started realizing that all the dark-skinned girls be like, yeah, my hair like this because my mom say I'm part Indian. You would only hear the dark-skinned girls say it. They would have that pretty silky hair. And they'd be like, yeah, they say I got Indian in my family. And when you start to study and research and listen to conspiracy and you on AOL and shit, and you searching for stuff and you realize what tribe you come from, right? You realize you a Muskogee Creek Indian and shit. And the Chattahoochee River is the colored rocks, the river colored rocks, something like that. No different than Chattanooga, Chattahoochee, Chattanooga. You start to realize what's happening. And then you realize the reason why they named your city Columbus is because they pillaged your area. But they couldn't get rid of everybody. They couldn't make no federal tribes down there. See what I'm saying? Because we still there. We still there. And then you start to add up, they put a military base there. Because we're in a silent war. We're in a silent war. It's so much. It's like, what part of the stage you on? Is you a little piece of grain of sand? Is you a master puppet? Is you a master manipulator? I watched it. I watched it. I watched how certain music started to engineer my psyche. Oh, when that trap music came out. First it was about slanging, bitch hole, slugging, having money. Then it went to run up in a nigga spot, do this, do that. You can't sit up there and do no motherfucking drugs and listen to that shit. You get what I'm saying? Well, anyway, this one final thing I want to say. There's only one regret I had about cocaine. First of all, it eats your nose up. It changes your sinus cavity. It weakens your intestines. It can break your teeth, right? That's the only thing I regret. But there's one final thing that I regret. Is that they were putting technology in this stuff. It goes straight to your brain. It passes your blood-brain barrier and your myelin sheath, right? And then it's acidic, so if you're not eating right and you're not as healthy and you're able to get a surplus supply different than other people, what happens is your immune system start to break down. It's acidic. It's like sugar. It's acidic. It weakens your bones. It weakens your blood vessels. Okay? It breaks you down. And you have to eat so many fruits and vegetables to build that strength back up in your immune system, right? There's one thing I want to tell you about it. Just because they don't have the devices don't mean they ain't got the technology or the hardware. And I'm going to explain something to you. I really feel like they had nanotechnology in this stuff. So if it came straight from the boat, it probably didn't have no nanotechnology in it. It's when it's when they convert it or document it in their system. Somehow, some way, they repress it, they recut it, they redo something, and they add technologies in it. Okay, so, and they're gonna try different signals. They're gonna use radio wave frequencies. They're gonna use these frequencies. This is before cell phones became a thing. This is at the Nokia era. So you wondering why certain people tripping certain way, or they brain open up and it never closed, right? Nah. They got assimilated nanoparticles in them from doing specific shit that go past the myelin sheath and the blood-brain barrier. And as you get older, and as the world advances, they start to put these devices out. No different than them spraying the aerosol across the sky and that shit falling on us. And it's lighting us up like a Christmas tree. Like it's doing like 3 things at one time. It's putting our natural ether out, but it's also assimilating and building its own pattern within us. And as technology grow, these smartphones, they're not always updating smartphones for our benefit. They're updating the hardware to the smartphone so it can continue to tether new frequencies from our biosphere. So as it continues to tether new frequencies from our biosphere, and new technologies. So people that like to go get the Jabberwocky or the pop quiz, they got new technologies in them. So these phones are going to keep advancing. They're going to keep triangulating off our bodies. That's why when I couldn't find that, see, I was going to use that iPhone at the house, not an iPhone, an iPad. But somehow it mysteriously popped up missing during the move or the transfer of the furniture. And I've always said that, okay, I'm an Android chick, so I don't want to be around iPhones because that means that this iPhone is going to read your biometrics and do all of this stuff. And now you're going to have 2 clouded systems working off your biosphere. This ain't for the weak. This is for people who can see, or they're curious and they never understood. So imagine them putting nanoparticles and different type of technology into the drugs then, but now they have the devices to measure your biosphere now. It's a hell of a world. And I kept hearing in my dreams, I forgot the phrase. Let me see something real quick. I forgot the phrase. Let me see. Probably deleted it. Oh, here it go. Oh, yeah. something kept saying, the bearer of bad news. The bearer of bad news. And I was like, man, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear nothing about no bad news. I was actually fussing with myself. Because this motherfucker wouldn't stop saying it, the bearer of bad news. And then all of a sudden I opened my eyes and it say Alabama. So I started calculating all the motherfuckers' name Alabama, who was coming from Alabama, who lived in Alabama. But it kept saying the bearer of bad news in Alabama. As if anybody you're around that really from Alabama right now, you might need to leave them alone. And that shit kind of taunted me. Because even though I'm vibing and I'm chilling, I'm like, okay, I'm really around people from Alabama. So what is this all about? And you try to respect your psyche. You know what I mean? You try to respect your psyche. Like, even if you hear something weird or you feel something weird or your intuition sparks a certain topic of interest, even though that's happening, you probably still be at the Waffle House and eat your food 3 o'clock in the morning, right? But you're not gonna ignore your intuition. You're not gonna ignore that inner log voice, right? You're gonna pay attention to your surroundings. Or you're gonna say, no, it's 3 a.m. I'm not going there tonight. You know. Well, when I heard that shit, all I could do was process it. I hope everybody's safe. But at the same time, I processed it as, you need to pay attention. You might be encountering agents in your home. You might be encountering agents in the streets. You know, bearer of bad news in Alabama. That shit was crazy. Like they come in with gifts. Does that make sense? So you have to pay attention to stuff like that. Just like when my psyche give me visions about specific celebrities, I don't take it for granted. I don't go plaster it all over the internet either. I keep it to myself and I observe. Remember I told y'all I kept hearing martyr, 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 martyr. And then my mom set a mortar and pestle on the steps. And I didn't know it was there. And I stepped on it. And I went down to the ground. Like my knee gave out on me, my leg gave out on me. And I had grabbed the wall. Do you know I caught myself? And I mean, I couldn't stop. I said, you taught me my whole life, you don't leave toys on the ground. Somebody could get hurt. Somebody can sue. But you set this on the steps in my walkway where I gotta come down. I said, that don't sound right. And I documented it in my mind. Like, I've been hearing the word martyr all day. You know, a martyr is like a fall guy to me. They pushing an agenda. You live for something, you die for something. You know? But I'm sitting there clowning, saying, how dare you put that on the steps where I gotta walk? And imagine this, nothing's never on the steps, right? So you gonna go down the steps without even looking at the steps, right? You're a grown-ass woman, you're gonna go down the steps without looking at the steps because you don't place nothing where you gotta walk, right? Oh no. Oh, that was crazy. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. So we're dealing with now, hypothetically, theoretically, allegedly, all this is for entertainment purposes. We're dealing with nanoparticles from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that they have finally started to put online now with these smart devices. Silent weapons for quiet wars, right? I really thought that you could live on this planet. I learned early, very early. I really thought that you could live on this planet and just enjoy life. I didn't know that they every every year or every decade or every 5 years or every whatever, they have a new agenda to push to keep you in this rat race. Like never in a million years when you heard that your mom was a baby boomer and they went through the recession, and when I was young there was a recession to where they was building brand new houses for $30,000 and $50,000 brick homes. Then if you bought something for $70,000, you was like high cotton, you know. Well, when you hear what they went through, when you hear what they went through, you would think you would grow up and we've grown out of that. You would think that our system that we live in is smart enough not to put us back in this inflation bubble, right? But the inflation bubble is to be a mass manipulator, to control you. They've been doing this shit to us every 10 years. They give you something for so many years and then they take it back from you. It's sad, but it's true. Like, when I was growing up, I was fast, right? So when I was no longer a virgin, you pick who you want. See, they let the young girl pick who she want. It's the older woman who feel like a nigga gotta choose her. But a young girl, she pick who she want. You would think everybody in the neighborhood a pervert or a pedophile or some weird shit like that, right? Because when a young girl chooses you, she wants you. And that man mentality is he still has that side where he want to make up for lost time. I ain't telling you no lie. And you'll be with him, he'll be spoiling you for years. You know what I mean? He'll be making up for all of what daddy did not do. You feel me? And I don't know. Then all of a sudden they'll do something where it's like they infiltrate people. They'll do something where they'll have all these young girls just have the lockdown thing. You know when they show you being locked up, the gazettes or whatever it is. And it'll say, it's like they be done heard some music or something and all the girls in the town be done got 100 niggas locked up in a month with the word uh with some type of sexual, underage stuff. I can't get the term out. And and then the map start just lighting up like a Christmas tree. When in fact, it's actually naturally for a 19-year-old to court a 17-year-old, or a 19-year-old to court a 16-year-old. Like, that shit is natural as fuck. That shit natural as fuck. It's when the nigga 28 and he trying to talk to a 16-year-old. That's when it starts to change. Or when he's 40 and he's talking to a 16-year-old. That's when it starts to change. You know what I mean? But you're calling this person a teen. You're still calling this person a teen, and you're saying that they're violated. Man, that damn magazine, every girl was crying wolf. I didn't understand it. So I knew to stay away from girls my age. No, ho. You need to go back home to your mama. That's just like the other day when I did an Uber. The girl went and picked up her friend. Her mama gave her money, let her do what she wanted to do. She went and picked up her friend. And the first thing she said was, we're not going to use the... She said, don't park in front of her house. Park down the street. She got out the car. And she went and got her friend out the window. I turned that music on, and I ignored them. I went and dropped them off at this party. And she was saying things like, could you cut that down? Could you... Girl, do you know you just got your friend out the fucking window? If your mom allow you to hang out, this is not the friend you want with you. This girl, parents, will call the police in less than 24 hours. If they come back home and she's not in that house, she's a target. She's somebody that'll get somebody hemmed up, and they was just minding their fucking business. And you have to learn to read between the lines. If this hoe got to walk out the window, fuck her. I ain't telling you no lie. Because you got them parents that show no mercy on circumstances. In today's age, you got the cell phones that got the tracker on it. You got children with chips in them, like microchips. Like, man, no. Take your ass back home and wait until you get grown enough to go out the house. No. That shit ain't working. So I learned early to stay away from people who had to sneak out the house, had to sneak from school. You know what I mean? Like they would have to go to school and then play hooky. Like they would go eat their lunch and everything to play hooky. Like I was the type where I could just, if I wasn't going to go that year, I ain't have to go. Put it like that. Like, fuck it. Why am I wasting my time? My brain do not want to learn. My brain do not want to read them textbooks right now. Like, I got something else on my mind right now. And school wasn't it. So, yeah, I just thought I should let y'all get the gist of that. Maybe it'll help somebody out. But we're living on a big stage, and they're pushing different agenda for different people. Depending on your climate, your region, they got something for everybody. I ain't telling you that. You could be a mountain man in motherfucking Montana. They pushing an agenda for everybody. I'm not lying to you. Be careful. Be safe. That's all I can say. And I really don't like the word safe. But be careful. Be safe. Pay attention. Okay? It's mass production going on out here. And you got to figure out what part of that line you in. And then you got to pay attention to lingering spirits too. whether you're a male or female, you got to pay attention to what energies want to keep hanging around you. Like, who want to be around you? Who want to be close to you? Who want to be next to you? Because remember, there's other entities looking through these people's eyes. There's other entities looking through these people's eyes.
The battery is 20% charged. It'll be fully charged in about 4 hours.
So, you gotta pay attention to that. You gotta pay attention to, no matter what you do, you could cuss them out. You bitch, hoe, trick, nigga, I ain't standing your motherfucking ass, motherfucker. Like, you can do all that, right? Remember, all this is hypothetically, theoretically, allegedly. It is definitely for entertainment purposes. And you can't get rid of them. There's some type of addiction. There's something about you that keeps this person close. They could be agents and don't even know it. Monitoring spirits and don't even know it. And don't let one attempt to try to tap into you. Tap into your light. You'll know that you're not on the same level. One try to tap into your light, like put their phallus in your keyhole or something like that. Attempt, you'll see. You'll see. When you know who you are, you know what you are, you start to move different. You start to move different. When you start to experience your sacred side. See, a lot of people won't appreciate this because I promote a lot of alcohol. But 5 or 10 years from now, you'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. Yeah, I promote a lot of alcohol. I can't do nothing. I take hair tests. I take urinalysis. I take hair tests. I have to take a physical every 2 years. Hell, really, with my career, it's not feasible to even get pregnant. It's not feasible to even have a husband, truthfully. Because, see, in the back of my mind, I'm going to think somebody playing games. Me being home, away from home. Yeah. And then if it's a man on the road, having a different woman in each area code. And inflation ain't stopping these niggas from tricking. No. Inflation ain't stopping these niggas from tricking. Ain't nothing like being married and a man take your money to another hoe. That shit is unforgiving. You hear me? It's unforgiving. And then you got a lot of people who have got married and they have not, how can I say it? They have not, they've been separated 10 and 20 years. And they won't even put in for a divorce because they got so much paperwork they got to do. You got a lot of foreigners here. They got married. And they'll say something like, oh, my wife's not even in the United States. My wife is in London, or my wife is in Korea, but they don't be Chinese people in there. This be people they done married, like white women or something, that move somewhere else. Like they don't never stop relocating. They'll go to a whole nother country. Or I got married to this person while I was in my homeland. And it didn't work out. And they just stay married. They use the name. They use the marital status. And I'd be like, why are these people under these contracts and all these bindings? Listen at this real quick and I'm going to let it go. So I was listening to this girl talk about STDs in her tarot readings, right? And she was like, somebody may have contracted something. Did you hear that word? Y'all need a black book. Y'all need a book to start writing these words down. She said somebody may have contracted something. But the way I heard it was not like, you know, from here to here. I said, now why are they using the same contract word that they use when you sign documentation? What is this exactly? Sex is a contract. If you got eyes to hear, I said if you got eyes to hear. If you got ears to hear and eyes to see, listen to me clearly. When they say, I've contracted something, that's the same exact word as an actual physical legalized contract. Now, what would make them do that? Is it something about sex that you have not been trained for, or is there something about sex that you have not been coached for? It seems like everybody need a shaman and a sheik in their life explaining this contractual energy. Say it again, revereskye. It's something about this contractual energy that people in their communities need to get together and explain it. Seek spiritual knowledge and guidance. Okay? That's why they say you don't know if you're sleeping with a demon or Jezebel spirit. These are contracts. These are contracts. And imagine that. You're saying they contracted it or something like that. Are you saying that you're under a contract without even signing anything? Or did you sign something? Did your signature frequency or your vessel or your flesh and blood sign something? No different than the sperm swimming and connecting to the egg. Is that a contract? Why are you able to have contracts without actually signing physical paper? No different than contact, right? And we all know what con mean, right? I'm just saying, make that shit make sense. I broke that down the other day. It was like something about the phonetics or the verbiage coming out of her mouth expounded me to a new chapter of contract. Like you hear it all the time, like sexually transmitted demons, yada yada yada, empty cedars, but you actually have contracts from contact. So when you see this Jezebel or this whoremonger or whatever that get around, you need to see how many contracts they actually got, physical contracts they got. Yeah. Like, ain't no time to be hot pussy, ain't no time to be hot dick. You feel me? I just wanted to say that. It's just funny they're using the same exact word. I probably heard it before in the past, but I had to get that out there. Well, I'm going to let it go. It was a pleasure talking to y'all. hopefully this hour-long segment can reach someone in need. But just remember, those spirits that those entities that like to linger around you, no matter how they say, you crazy, you just like this, you don't do right, you don't treat me right, you, you, but you still here, fool. What the fuck? Like, you're starting to ask yourself, what contract phase are we on, right? Just, just be careful and be mindful, be vigilant, be aware. Buy you some gold, buy you some silver, buy you some platinum. Get as much sunshine as you can. Get as much clean, fresh water as you can, clean, fresh air as you can. Get as much chlorophyll as you can. Living chlorophyll. You're gonna need it. You're gonna need it, okay? So until next time, unearth the magic. The truth will definitely set you free. Mwah.